today, visiting our service from wherever you may be. We Unitarians of Lake Norman are an open and inclusive congregation. Our members walk diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but we are united in our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and by the responsibility to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. My name is Tim Brown. I've been a Unitarian since 2007, and I've been an active member of this congregation since 2018. Mike Alec and Eddie Gunn are doing our music today. Reverend Pat Jobe, our pastor, will be speaking today. And he writes, as spring is bustling out all over, we will consider how nuance and subtle differences make such important things happen for good or evil, or ill. The Reverend Pat Jobe joined our fellowship on April 1st, 2020. He is married to his lovely spouse, Gabe, and he is an enthusiastic supporter of UU Lake Norman, FeedNC, Heart of the Carolinas UU Animal Ministry, the Barefoot Ministry, and all work done by UUs in our area. We start our services and other activities by lighting a candle inside a chalice and speaking to the words that call us to this occasion. Please join me in saying today's chalice lighting words, which are in your order of service. Light this flame chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In the search for truth, may we find justice. In our search for justice, may we be loving. And loving, we find peace. Reverend Pat, opening words.
I do have opening words, but I also want to add my word of welcome, Andy, to you and your husband. You may not know what Heart of the Carolinas Animal Ministry is. Do you know?
I've read about it. Yeah.
Good. It's a tremendous source of pride for us. And as Unitarian Universalists, we don't mind being prideful. Forest City's rally yesterday drew 200 people, and I was thrilled by the fact that I only knew 6 of them. I don't know where they came from. A lot of them were young. A lot of them had young children with them, and Lord have mercy, were they mad. The other thing I want to say is that I was almost late getting here today because I just came from a 2.5-hour service in a black church. And the minister delivered almost the same sermon that I'm going to deliver today. He had high praise for Cory Booker. He had no praise for Elon Musk and Donald Trump. He talked about John Lewis encouraging us to make good trouble. It was a fabulous, fabulous sermon. I was so glad that I was there, but I was so sorry when I looked at my GPS and saw that I was barely going to make it here in time. Our opening words come from Norman Mailer. He said, love asks that we be a little braver than is comfortable, a little more generous, a little more flexible. It means living on the edge more than we care to.
Please stay comfortably seated as Mike takes us with his music into a place of worship and contemplation.
I'm just going to try to bring a little spring sunshine into this optimism. Song by George Harrison. like that?
So, bro. So. This is just weird, y'all. I've really been on a journey with this message today, and I don't know whether it's any good or not. It was prompted by being in a card game with my number 2 son, and my brother and my ex-wife and several other weirdos. And at some point in the game, my son felt like he had bid wrongly and he was not taking the right number of tricks. And he said, when you're already out of control, you might as well thin the gap. That's strange. That's just plumb strange. But it really struck me. It struck me so much that I wrote it down. And that led me to thinking about nuance and subtlety and how life sometimes needs to be nuanced and subtle. I thought when you're already out of control, you might as well thin the gap. That would certainly apply if you saw that you were involved in an impending car wreck. You'd want to do your best to minimize the damage. It also reminded me of going broke in business, which I've done 3 times in my life. When you know you're going broke in business, you want to create as little damage as possible. And this minister this morning, he talked about Dietrich Bonhoeffer being killed by the Nazis for opposing Hitler. He really didn't hold anything back. I don't know how many of you know this, but John Lewis had a speech impediment for most of his life because he was so badly beaten at Bloody Sunday on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. His skull was cracked and he bled profusely. He almost died. And he carried that speech impediment with him for the rest of his life to remind him of what had happened to him on Bloody Sunday. To even be part of Unitarian Universalism is a risk. We are on the right side of history, but it can sometimes put us at a risky place. There are so many people with a gross misunderstanding of who we are and what we stand for. The grossness of that misunderstanding puts us at risk. You've heard me speak many times about James Reeb and Viola Liuzzo, who died at Selma. They answered Dr. King's call to come to Selma and march to Montgomery. Reeb was beaten to death by the Klan, leaving a restaurant before the march started. Another Unitarian minister named Clark Owen was not killed because Reeb kept putting his own body between Clark and the Klansmen who were beating him. And of course, Clark lived many, many years after that and never stopped talking about James Reeb saving his life, sacrificing his life so that Clark might live. Liuzzo was shot by the Klan, taking people who had helped with voter registration to the airport. As she drove along to the airport, a carload of Klansmen came up beside her car and shot her through the window. Less often I talk about the killings of Greg McKendry and Linda Krager, 2 Unitarian Universalists who were killed by an unemployed truck driver in Knoxville, Tennessee on July the 27th, 2008. The shooter left a manifesto in his truck saying he had acted because we support liberals, Democrats, African Americans, and homosexuals. 2 nights after the shooting, the Unitarian Universalist Church in Spartanburg held a vigil of solidarity with the folks in Knoxville. And one of the women at that service said that her next door neighbor had asked her, how in the world can you go to that church tonight after what happened in Knoxville? And her answer was, how in the world can I go anyplace else? There is nothing subtle or nuanced about the deaths in Selma or the deaths in Knoxville. There is very little subtle or nuanced about much of what I say here on Sunday afternoons. I'm so bad at subtlety that when I was in college, one of my English professors asked me if subtlety was a word in my vocabulary. So many people see their kinships and life purposes as benefiting their families, their businesses, a few of their friends, and little else. We act for the common good. That's who we are. We want everybody to benefit from what we do. I think one of the reasons that we're so proud of the Heart of the Carolinas Animal Ministry is because not only do we build fences to get dogs off chains, but next week we'll do it again. And maybe 2 weeks later we'll do it again. We do it and we do it and we do it for whomever may ask us. We do it. The same thing applies to FeedNC, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. Some people even hold to the idea that their skin color or their cultural background might insulate them from suffering. These people come to mind as we watch our country be divided on the basis of politics, church, class, gender identity, on the basis of so many markers that it is hard to imagine that anybody is standing for the common good. But we are. That's who we are. That's what we do. We want everybody to be safe. We want everybody to be fed. We want everybody to have a decent place to live. We want everybody to have access to a doctor or a nurse or the health care that they need. How could anybody have predicted 3 months ago that a minister delivering a sermon would be talking about budgets? Unless it was the church budget, in which case the minister is always interested in the church budget. But as you think about what's happening today in our government, it is the national budget that is being destroyed, that is being usurped, that is being torn apart. The budget of USAID, which at this point looks to be doomed for the chopping block, would hardly have been mentioned by any minister in any house of worship 3 months ago. Today, we know that aid to the earthquake victims in Myanmar has been diminished because the USAID budget has been cut. And last night I read on my news feed that employees of USAID were fired on the ground in Myanmar. You don't work here anymore, honey. Get you a plane ticket. Go home. What madness. One former USAID official said, the system is in shambles. Aid to victims of this earthquake will be very difficult. And we know from last night's news that it will be even more difficult as USAID employees are getting on airplanes and flying home rather than helping the people in Thailand, Myanmar, and China. Foreign aid today consists primarily of helping Israel. Let's just let that one hang in the air for a minute. HIV babies who used to get medicine from USAID today are not. And I heard a doctor interviewed on the radio who said they are going to die. So far, this sermon has not offered much subtlety or nuance. I know my buddy Bruce Henderson is over there listening for it because he's got such an editorial background. He's thinking to himself, I know what those two words mean. I wonder if he does. This has been a pretty grim laundry list of how risky it is to be Unitarian Universalist, and another grim laundry list of the disaster shaking the foundations of what used to be our government. For most of us, the work, the passion, the action is subtle and nuanced. As an example, some of us work very hard at FeedNC. We do the best we can, and we deserve to be proud of what we do. For those of you who have never been there, the place is extraordinary. Poor people eat there for free. Maybe the only meal some of them will get that day. But beyond the meals offered, with table service in a lavish dining room filled with natural light from the great outdoors, there is a culinary school which finds jobs for almost all of its graduates. A warehouse which trains warehouse workers, at least one of whom got a job making more money than the guy who runs the program. An organic garden and a grocery store that allows shoppers many choices among surplus food supplies. For each one of us who volunteers there, the experience is subtle and nuanced and different for each individual. Never forget that one simple fact. All experiences are different for each of us who experiences these as individuals. Even being in this room on Sunday afternoon is different for each individual here today, right now. These differences are at least subtle, and I hope you find them to be nuanced to your liking. See how this works? A tiny few Unitarian Universalists have paid with their lives to build the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. Most of us come here, and some of us even love each other by gathering here on Sunday afternoons. And then we go home, wondering if what we are doing is making any difference at all. Let me tell you about one member of this congregation who knows what good we are doing. She said recently, "I'm not going to build a dog fence or serve at FeedNC, but I love this congregation like family." Is that doing any good? You bet it is. You bet it is. We are here. This is now. At least some of us love each other like family. I want to do an invocation of smoke. At the risk of sounding really silly, let's evoke smoke. Or dream of steam. Or try to make sense of incense. All these images are of wisps of things that feel so fleeting. Yet for thousands of years, religions around the world have used smoke and steam and incense to evoke presence. That which feels fleeting but never goes away. Another subtle and nuanced word for it might be transcendence. Marcus Borg uses the word more. And in Ed Boy's book, he refers back to Borg's use of the word more. There is always something more here. In 1977, the Sanford Townsend Band gave us an image. They sang, "Your eyes had a mist from the smoke of a distant fire." They were not singing about spirituality, so I won't tarry there. But it is an image that brings to mind that which might be sought in a religious ceremony that includes smoke or steam or incense or any wisp of transcendent reality. Wisp. My, what a lovely evocative word. If you can't find anything when I evoke smoke, maybe you can see mist that comes as a wisp. Is it true? Is it real? Remember how the wisps of smoke came out of Aladdin's lamp? Don't you love hearing that there is at least one person in this room who loves you like family? Of course, there are more than one. What could possibly be more powerful, more evocative, more transcendent than love? I know for sure that there are others in this room who love all of you like family, even first-time visitors. Smoke that over. Take a breath of the mist of that wisp. Let the steam from that kettle waft into your nostrils. Smell the incense. We lost a little something when the Quakers asked us to stop burning candles. But look here. Our little light still shines. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Okay, Tim. Let's see what they're going to do with us.
I think all of you have been soft on him because we're supposed to challenge his words as well. This is part of the service where everyone is invited to offer your thoughts, comments, and questions about today's theme and sermon. Please come up to the microphone. We have 2 of them so the people at home can both see you and hear you. Come forward as you will. At one point, I had heard that only 3 USAID people had gone to Myanmar in the first place.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
And if, I don't know how you phrased it, they were all fired or whatever, but
Karen, what did you read? Were they all fired?
They were all, yeah.
all
Yeah.
3 of them.
Yeah.
So there's no one there.
Said your services are not.
I wonder who paid for the trip home. Anyone today? Any comments?
Well, I either did a wonderful job or I did a horrible job.
It was one of
Thanks. Oh, here comes Linda. Okay.
Oh, no problem.
This is real quick, but apropos, I had to go buy stamps for the Unitarians this week, and I got the John Lewis ones.
Let me just add that every time I think about the fact that John Lewis lived with a speech impediment for the following 40, 50 years, however long he lived after Bloody Sunday, it just tears me up. To think that that man gave up the ability to speak clearly, that was sacrificed on that bridge as those Klansmen and sheriff's deputies did that violence against those marchers. Come on, Sue.
This isn't exactly on your topic, but
It's okay.
the John Lewis thing spurred me to say this. I wasn't here last week because I went to the Children's Theater in Charlotte and took my 9-year-old grandson, and my daughter went with us. And we saw the most incredible program. There was a Black man that he said he was 52. He was a one-man show. It was about the Freedom Riders from 61, I think. And he did an incredible job. He had these boxes with pictures on them that stood about that tall. And he had pictures from the time and from some of the burnings and that kind of thing. And he called children up from the audience and 1 or 2 adults as well. And he had them play a part in it. And he said he does this 6 to 7 days a week. He's in the art department at Duke University. And he says, we just need to teach our children. And, these kids, he said he always has the children involved, and the things they didn't know, like he spent probably an hour afterwards answering questions, speaking mostly to the kids, but addressing the adults when they wanted an answer. And one of the little kids said, was this thing with these, freedom riders, was that before or after slavery? what are we teaching our kids?
Right. Exactly. I got one more story from the Freedom Rides. I think, well, I'm not going to say it because I'm probably wrong. The governor of Mississippi, when the Freedom Riders were coming through, met with the representatives of the U.S. Department of Justice. What at that time was the U.S. Department of Justice. I'm not sure what it is now, but they had come down to ask Mississippi, will you protect these Freedom Riders? And the governor said, no. He said, we have no capacity to protect these people. They're troublemakers. They're causing problems everywhere they go. No, we're not going to protect them. And he turned to the head of the state police and he said, isn't that right, Captain? We can't protect these people. And the head of the state police said, no, Governor, that's not right. We can protect them. And when they arrived in Jackson, Mississippi and offloaded the bus, the local police disappeared and in came the Klan to beat them up. The head of the state police moved in with his officers and he stopped one Klansman by pulling his revolver out and putting it up to the Klansman in the head and saying, hit him one more time.
Just to add a little bit more, Doug's going to come up. Come on up, Doug. And while Doug's walking up, if you haven't been to Greensboro, I believe, I'm still new enough in town, Greensboro has a
Civil
rights museum with the soda counter where the young men protested. It's worth your time to go up to. It's only an hour away to go see that. Sir,
Yeah.
your turn.
So our therapy is to call our representatives every day and the president's switchboard a couple times a week. And we were in Puerto Rico a couple of weeks ago and we got a postcard. And on the postcard showed the islands. And in the islands showed the Gulf of Mexico. So Pat sent a postcard to the White House, circled with her Sharpie the Gulf of Mexico, and said, you are not helping the people that put you in. Quit acting like a grammar school bully out here. So we did that. I called the switchboard when they banned the children's book about freckles. And my first comment was this, okay, what the frig is he doing? And this pastor says, they're going to come to get you. I said, they don't have enough FBI people come get me now. But Ted Budd's office now knows me as, yes, Mr. Wall. I called the other day and I said, among other things, can you please have the senator to tell the president to please stop his lying? We're just tired of it. And she said, can you be more specific? I said, yes, and I said, yes. I said, 1 hour ago, he did this. I said, 30 minutes ago, he said this. 15 minutes ago, he said this. Every time he opens his mouth, he's lying. She says, I got the gist now. So it's all we can do. It's therapy for me. It takes my anger down, and I told her, it's not against you. You're just answering the phone. And I'm hoping that some of this, I don't know if it ever do any good, will get through. Who knows? It may get through, hopefully, to some of the senators, and they do the right thing. Hopefully.
Newsflash just in, next week after service, Doug is giving an hour sermon lecture on how to call your representatives and explain.
We did have 5 people at Friday Action Hour this past Friday, and Tracy Graham was out of town. So we had 5 without Tracy Graham. She is at a family gathering in Tucson today, but Friday Action Hour is a 1-hour Zoom. Gio, do you want to testify?
Let me testify. It's only an hour. If I don't have enough energy to do anything else, I can show up for an hour. And if I can't do anything else but listen to what they've got to say about what's happening, I'm better off for having been there. And ideally, I actually take some action. And that's really good.
There were five who we know who were there. And there were at one point in the meeting, 77 people there from UU congregations from Asheville to Wilmington.
Will you take my confession?
Yes, yes.
I work full-time, 8 to 5. I'm supposed to be available on my screen and available to my boss, who almost never contacts me. On Fridays at 11 o'clock, I can call into there and participate on work hours.
There you go. There you go. Thank you all so much.
I invite you now to listen deeply as Mike reflects on today's theme with his music, along with Eddie. Oops, it's inaudible.
Just want you to know Eddie has no idea what's going to happen. As usual. Sometimes I think I know what I'm going to play, and then Pat speaks, and I change my mind.
Thank you, Mike.
Just, you know, my little secrets. Yeah. Well, I was young and so outrageous, and the weather was contagious, but I'm sliding down that slippery slope today. Can you get your head around it? So lost it till you found it. I'm looking for a little hand today. Ooh, hallelujah, what's it to you? Come on up, let it through ya. Hey, everybody's looking for a way. Hallelujah, get it through ya. Come on up, let it move ya. Everybody needs a hand today. Well, I was lost in Encinitas. I was kicked by senoritas. But the sun was getting hotter by the day. Can you really comprehend the way you can land it? I'm looking for a corner in the shade. Ooh, hallelujah, what's it to you? Jump on up, let it through ya. Hey, everybody's looking for the way. Hallelujah, get it through ya. Jump on up, let it rule ya. Everybody needs a hand today. All right. Now I'm back in the Yazoo City, making moves, man, it ain't free. I'm saying everything I've ever said. Yeah, I don't need no silver platters. Give me one damn thing that matters. Time is rushing by me like a wave. Ooh, hallelujah, what's it to you? Jump on up, let it through ya. Hey, everybody's looking for the way. Hallelujah, get it through ya. Jump on up, let it through ya. Everybody needs a hand today. Everybody needs a hand today. Everybody needs a hand today. Way to go. Never again.
This fellowship is important to all of us. The contributions we make today allow us to sustain and grow our congregation and to reach out to our community, both nearby and the larger world. Your giving affirms our commitment to each other and to the community. And may I urge the viewers at home to switch briefly to the main page of our website and select the donation button to join with the members here in person in donating. With grateful hearts, we receive these gifts. May they encourage us to live lives of integrity, compassion, and peace. We are also grateful to all the people who make possible our Sunday services, all of our various community activities, and present us to the outside world via the newsletter and YouTube. And that includes everyone who cheers us on by being in these chairs today, or even in more comfortable ones at home. Our weekly discussion of announcements. We have details today. The dinner today is at, I have it right here in front of me as soon as I read it. Well, yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Fusion Bowl. Fusion Bowl. Fusion Bowl is Chinese food. It's nearby. If you want to join us, see Linda over there in the corner. Movies, Tuesday, the movie is The Friend at 1:45. Again, let Linda know if you're going to join them for that. Heart of the Carolinas Animal Ministry. Claudia, is there anything scheduled soon? Where are you?
We're building this Saturday. We are building this Saturday
This Saturday.
in Lincolnton on Buffalo Shoals Road, and the details will be on Facebook, on the email.
Yeah, the best way to find that is on Facebook. And let me point out a small thing she implied. They have, in your charter, you don't have to explain it, in their charter, they are restricted to Lincoln County for some reason. And we don't have to get into that, but in case you're wondering, why not here? Why not nearby? That's why, to a small degree. FeedNC. Jim, do you need anyone else for the 10th?
We do. In fact, we're short a couple of regulars because of the other commitments. We're always looking for volunteers, and as mentioned so eloquently by Pat, it is a wonderful experience to see the people giving and receiving such great help.
I don't get that washing dishes.
The least popular job, there. I've got to say, I'm getting involved in doing that. Sandy does it,
Yeah.
but
Doug does it.
he is the guy who rules the washing machine.
Now Sandy's great.
Friday Action Hour, we've discussed already. That's every Friday at 11 via Zoom. If you want to get involved and you don't currently get the link, Pat, who should we reach out to as a primary contact to you?
Sure, I'll be glad to talk to anybody who wants to come to Action Hour who needs information about how to do it. I'll be glad
Just
to talk.
send him an email or text. The quarterly litter pickup, Saturday, April 19th. Jim, how are we all filled up there?
You're coming, right?
I'm coming.
All right, well, we're halfway there.
The two out of four of us. It's just under a mile walk, I guess, about a mile walk of picking up litter along.
9:30 to 11, Saturday morning, the 19th is the right date, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Our fundraiser auction is Saturday, May 17th at Bailey's Glen Clubhouse. You know what to do. I don't know what to do. So starting now or sooner. So Doug, any comments on that right now? Doug's the guy you meet when you walk in and he's talking to you.
We need stuff.
We need stuff.
We need a lot more things than we have.
We,
need volunteers also.
Yeah, let me point out, there's a couple layers here. One is they need people to actually set up and tear down and do things and not, I've already volunteered to help set up. Those are volunteers. They need volunteers to bring things to sell. They need volunteers to donate activities to do, like parties, escape rooms, mystery dinners. And there was one more category I had in mind. Did I miss something?
A lot of people to buy.
Oh, all the volunteers to buy got to show up too. Right. Saturday, May 17th. What time do they start buying?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30 is the silent auction.
And if you need,
Sorry, Boston is 6.
you should be able to find
6 to 7, then
It's silent,
silent, and then 7 to 9 is the line.
Bailey's Glen is pretty big. If you just Google that, you'll find the development and the clubhouse is right at the entrance to that. That's not hard to find if you try. Next Sunday, the Reverend Pat Jobe, The Tactics of Dr. Martin Luther King. Look forward to that. Our closing song is number 346. Come sing a song with me in the great hymnal. Please stand as you're willing and able.
Well, we'll see. Sit down now. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. That I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring the song of love, a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. That I may know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love, a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. That I may know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love, rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. That I may know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love, a rose in the winter time. You may be seated.
Our closing words come from the publisher of Jet and Ebony magazines, John H. Johnson. Lots of African-American references today. Cory Booker, John Lewis, Martin Luther King. These words from John H. Johnson. I believe that living on the edge, living in and through your fear is the summit of life. And the people who refuse to take that dare condemn themselves to a life of living death.
We close our service by extinguishing the light of the chalice and saying together the words in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts, So we got.
Well done.